What's up, y'all? It's your boy Gerald. That's right. Been hanging around your ear. I'm trying to get to your spirit by way of your heart. And hopefully if I stay there long enough, the love and compassion that I'm offering will influence that beautiful mind. See, that's what the ultimate agenda is. Oh yeah, this agenda. See, that agenda is to cultivate the best you. Surely you do not think that the life that you see, the environment that makes up your day to day, is the end all be all. Surely you have not embraced that mindset that that is all it's going to be. Because if that is the case, I've got some good news for you. Yes, I do. Because see, the best you is yet to come. But see, to make that a reality, you must do a couple things that, for one, only you can do, and requires you to be authentic. Because see, there'll never be another you. Let's make that perfectly clear. Yes, I know that people want to come out in the cheap seats and say, "Well, you know what, Gerald? I dream a little dream, and I'm influenced by the things I see. What's wrong with that?" Well, it depends on your viewpoint. It depends on the interpretation and how you cognitively break down what is being presented to you. I could turn around and give you poison, but sprinkles the end result is death. And unfortunately, we are in a world where that is being the order of the day, and bad news is the news, and no one wants to take accountability because it is easier to hide in the shadows than stand by your side and do the work. But we're talking about you. We're not talking about them. We're talking about that little boy, little girl that lives inside you. That's who I'm talking to. See, I haven't given up on you. No. See, first of all, we have to make some truths known. Before the person that you are destined to be, which requires preparation, can be manifested. See, you have to be in tune with that little boy and that little girl that's found inside you. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the person that has endless possibilities, dreams unlimited, custom tailored just for you. That's who I'm talking to. See, I can't, no matter how hard I try, reach those in the cheap seats. And this is not shade, because I too have had to come to understand this. See, in the intended time and moment, everyone has their awakening. See, to have that awakening, what is being displayed and defined is your truth. And next to your truth is your legacy. Because, see, your legacy is defined by your actions. So let's take a step back. Let's take a step back, shall we? Who's telling your story? Well, I know. See, you do have to understand that that void that is found inside you, possibly, and it won't be there long, but let's make this correct. See, just the fact that you're priceless, there is one you, there's one DNA, there's one spirit, there is one body, which makes one you. You do understand that when you took your fresh breath, the contract was already signed. That's why you exist. Mhm. You're saying, well, Gerald, what is the contract? The contract is your purpose. And your purpose will be the ink and the display for your story. So, yes, it's very important that you understand if you do not like how your story is being portrayed, don't you think it's time that you get in the midst of that and write it correctly? Sometimes it is defined by pain. It is sprinkled by the things that make a lifetime story. Haven't you noticed when we see stories about lifetime, sometimes it's to the left or to the right, and every now and then you'll find one that is right on point. You know why they do that? They do that to influence you. So if they wanted the best you to be amongst the masses, we know as society, why are they putting so much emphasis, finances, and pretty much agenda to not spawn that? If they wanted a world of brilliant minds, wouldn't we have information and tools to nurture that? You do understand the most beautiful flower on the earth cannot grow unless its first seed is planted in good soil. And that good soil is your environment. So yes, that's where that part when I'm talking about you're gonna have to do some work. You're gonna have to sidestep some things. You're gonna have to step over some obstacles and you're gonna have to step back because you have to learn to trust yourself. Now, some people may be saying, well, Gerald, how can I trust myself if I don't know how to perform? You know why you don't know what to do when you need to do it? It's because, first of all, you turned your back on you. I had to learn this. See, first of all, no one can do anything that you won't allow. You do understand that, right? Now let's peel that onion back a little bit, shall we? Let's go from the position of development, the child. See, a child does not know what is what unless it is taught. It is taught psychologically and is also taught hands-on. So whoever is the influence of that child's environment, that child is going to automatically mimic what it knows or what is being exposed to them. For example, how do you think a bird learns to fly? It doesn't come out of the egg and then, okay, I'm gonna start flying. No, as that baby, as that hatchling is developing, it is looking. It is very observant, and it watches its parents or those in that role of influence perform this action. And then in the intended time, what, what ends up happening? A decision is made. The hatchling is developed, and the bird, may it be their parents or the surrogate, makes a cognitive decision. It is now time to fly. Two things will happen. That bird will believe in itself and outstretch their wings and tap into its spirit, and that spirit will nurture survival skills. Or that bird will plummet to its death. We see this happen all the time, yo. You see it all the time. How you think that dead bird got there? It was time to fly. And that goes on through our environment too. And there's so many synchronicities going on. The things that we should be focusing on. Why do they take back seats? Why? It happens for two reasons. Either A, you're going through something, trying to find a happy compromise, or there is something more covert going on that keeps you distracted from seeing what is priority. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? So turn the news on, and I know many of you have, this is ironic, y'all. I wish you could see this, but there's a yin yang symbol inside my cup. You know, still there too. As you are aware that we have been watching the Olympics, and I don't know if you noticed, there was, I think they said 250 different countries that came to participate in the Olympics this year. And the opening ceremony was very profound because even though it talked about the origins of Brazil, it also told us really a story about the world. And this was the first Olympics that was the most melanated. Did you notice that? I know some of y'all did. We're all connected, y'all. No matter what they want to tell you. Because you have some people that have no relationship with their spiritual connection. And they believe in man. And they believe man is God. And unfortunately, the blind is leading the blind. And it's unfortunate because these people do not know what they do. Even Jesus Christ said it. Lord, they know not what they do. So if they don't know what they're doing, they're definitely not going to know what to protect themselves from because they're divided from themselves. And it's really a tragedy. A travesty, but a tragedy. You got to bear with me. It's early in the morning. These soup coolers ain't working. But I love you anyway. So I turned the news on, and I imagine some of you are going to do the same sometime today. And they was discussing the story, the news that occurred in Milwaukee last night, where there was protesting as well as collateral damage that occurred. See, I got a problem with that. First thing that I have a problem with is the betrayal of what is put out as news. Now, you got to keep in mind, y'all, for anything is released to the media, to the masses, us, there is somebody that has to sign off on the story. There is someone that has to do the editing. There is someone that has to make sure that what is presented on that teleprompter matches the imagery that you will take in. That's why it's very, very important, y'all, to be very critical on what you receive in and how you do it regarding your information. It is very important because unfortunately, most people will only, first of all, the average person's attention span is anywhere between 5 to 10 seconds. It's a fact. So that is why you're seeing so much uh, uh, programming that is salacious and demeaning. Let's call a spade now. That's why you always will see this. Something happens in a town near you, a city near you, a state near you, and the report is live in effect, and he or she's got that mic. They never do a perspective with that intelligent person. They always got to get that one that will set you back 5 years. Like, okay, you're going to tell me out of everybody in this crowd, you're going to pick the one that is the embarrassment. Now, I can't blame that person 100%, but 50%, I have to, because there's choice. See, nobody made you walk out the house the way you did. You chose to do that. But nobody can dictate what you take in your brain. That's your brain. So if you're filling your brain with stuff that does not matter or things that will never enhance your development, how about define your direction? How about exemplify your purpose? You're doing a disservice to you and those who are connected to you. You do understand that, right? You don't get an attaboy for bad behavior. You don't. So you're going to see today splashed on every network about the rioting in Milwaukee that occurred last night. And here's the thing I'm concerned with. They're claiming that the officer had his body camera on. So we're waiting for the footage. Okay, we're waiting on that. And the justification of shooting the person was he had a weapon and 500 rounds of ammo. Okay, now, first of all, how are you going to know this person has 500 rounds of ammo until this is further investigation after the fact? Because if you're in pursuit, you don't have time to, hey, let me do an inventory. Oh, I got to catch you. Don't work that way. Plus, another thing that people don't realize is I'm pretty sure that everybody nowadays has this mindset of no matter what I do, the end goal is to get home. Am I talking to somebody? I think a lot of people nowadays are taking stock of their mortality and also looking at it from a perspective of, hey, I'm not promised I'm gonna make it to my destination. But here's something to be a little bit more clear. You might not be guaranteed you'll get to your destination, but guess what? You're not guaranteed you're gonna get your next breath right now, and then you're hearing me talk. You're not guaranteed that if you walk outside or basically walk to your bathroom, you'll get there. Why? Because we don't know the time nor the moment when death says, I'm here to come get you. So it's very important that we value our time. That's where time management comes into play, y'all. This is when value of your mortality is right up there with it. But see, when you talk about stuff like that, the average person shuts you off. I ain't hearing what you're saying, bro. No, that's a bunch of bunk. I don't care. Yada, 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 yada. I'd rather go on over here and look at Quita clap her ass and dream a dreamer's dream of how I'm going to get out of debt. But yet I ain't trying to do anything myself because it's too easy just to do this. This is not shade. This is love. Listen, what I'm trying to get y'all to understand, y'all, you already have, there are people that look just like you. Could be your neighbors, could be your work, for those who are employed, could be your co-worker, could be somebody that is in your family that does not want you to become the person you're destined to. So if you're not grounded, you've already done half of the work for them. That's why I tell you, until you learn to love yourself and learn to be authentic, will you understand what being free is. That's why it's not your responsibility, nor should you allow someone to define you. You know, it's okay to say no, because the word no does not mean forever. The word no means under review. Who am I talking to? How many times have you had somebody say, you asked them to do something, they turn around and gave you this? Guess what? It's your choice to accept it. So if you are in an environment where you don't feel safe, why are you there? If you are in a fellowship of people and there is no trust, why are you there? Or if you are affiliated with someone, first of all, listen, let me tell you something. If you are wasting time embracing the mindset of that's an associate, you're already lost, because guess what? You can't grow, gain, or further any product or project with an associate. You know why? Because y'all don't share the same you don't share the same commonality here. So guess what? There is no trust. That's why when you hear people say, well, we're in an alliance. Well, if they had your best interest, why wouldn't they be your friend? Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? You giving people access to your life that you know that you only give them about that much room. They ain't supposed to be in your life. Why do you accept that? If I can only give you this, why am I going to give you vulnerability or access to my life? Why? Who am I talking to? Queens, I'm going to go there now. So if this person has already disappointed you on the littlest things, why are you going to give them the responsibility for the big things? Who am I talking to? But yet, why do you allow yourself to feel a certain kind of way when you already knew from the first hello, they wasn't worthy of it? Why? Because of who they knew? because of what they possess? How about how they make you feel? You do know what's at stake, right? They're robbing you of you. And it's okay to admit to yourself, well, Gerald, I made some bad choices in my life. If you're honest with yourself right there to admit, yes, I've made some bad choices, but yet you desire what you feel in your heart to make it right, you're already making momentum to where you need to be. Why is it so hard for you to apologize? Why is it so hard for you to admit to yourself that you were wrong? How about start with the apologies to you? That's called atoning. See, if you can't get yourself right, it's not going to reciprocate in your environment. Do you understand that, right? Are we on point? Let me break it down again. See, somebody's listening to this song and it's talking to your heart, ain't it? Yes, because it was meant for you to get this message. But you're going to be okay. You know why? Because he's got something better for you. But he's not going to give it to you until you're ready for you. Do you understand that? People waste time, money, effort, and mortality investing in people. Chasing. First of all, why you got to chase somebody? I know I'm talking to somebody, but inside your heart, you say, I want transparency, Gerald. I want to be able to have a communication unlike what I feel in my heart. Why can't I have that in my reality? Because you won't give it to yourself first. I'm not trying to bust your bubble. But how many bad relationships you got to go through to see the writing on the wall? How about the writing on your heart? I'm saying this out of love because listen, the best you is yet to come. You know I'm talking the truth. You know I am because you dream about it. Ooh. You're having conversations in your mind and you're starting to second guess yourself. You know why that second guessing is going on? It's breaking down that pride. It's breaking that ego down. And you know deep down inside, you deserve better. Doesn't matter what she does. Doesn't matter what he can do. But if they cannot do the smallest thing, how about protect that heart? Remember, you've got precious cargo inside you. That's that heart. That's that mind. And it's fortified by your spirit because your spirit is the real you. I can turn around and you can get burned. You can be burned up. 3rd-degree burns. You think the real you's dead? Nope. Nope. You hear about it all the time. You hear about it all the time. You see this play out all the time. Somebody was athletic and then they went to bed and woke up and they were paralyzed. Life forever changed. Does life stop? No. Unless you sign off on it to say, okay. That's why you hear about people doing this. They go through something that they never foresaw occurring. And they try inside their mind to convince themselves otherwise. And then they get to a point they give up. They get exhausted and then they submit. And then all of a sudden you're like, damn, he's not here no more. He died. I'll give you another analogy. For those who are into esoterics, for those who are trying to understand the chakra systems and twin flames and soulmates, I know a lot of y'all have been doing research for yourself, because really what's going on is you're trying to connect back to your authentic self. And I commend you for that, because see, first of all, it requires you to be vulnerable. Mhm. That means to be vulnerable, that means you must have courage to be you. Well, put it this way. If you can't tell that beautiful person in the mirror that you see every morning when you brush those pearly whites and wipe the crust out your eyes, that you love you, does it surprise you your environment is reflecting that? Because you do understand, whatever spiritual energy you put out of you, it has to come back. That's why all things come full circle too. Mm-hmm. But see, you tell those people that are very passionate and they say, God doesn't exist. I find that kind of amazing, because the same people that try to yell that are the same people that say, well, the devil, Satan, hell, Satan, yeah. How can you have Satan if you don't have God, when God created Lucifer? It's kind of contradictory, don't you think? You can't chew off of information so it serves you without revealing the full context of what was being described. Yes, Lucifer was the most beautiful angel that God created. He was the number one. So when it comes to signs, wonders, oh yeah, he was very equipped. And his influence was very great. But it was his pride and ego that got him cast away, as well as those he influenced. So where do you think he went? He ain't floating around in space. He came to Earth. Mm-hmm. How you think that we only use 6% of our brain, right? So how you think man evolved? I learned from the fallen angels, y'all. Come on now. It's right there. But see, man is so arrogant. He puts propaganda out there to sway you to do what he wants you to do. But I heard somebody try to use an analogy, which I was surprised, because nobody was doing that until I spoke it. And that's okay, because it's not about me. But let's put a spin on it. And I told them I define manifestation. This definition came from spirit, came from him. And I did it in reverse. Manifestation is the effect of actions done, right? The end result. So cause and effect. Well, before you have cause to have effect, there is transition between, right? So let's put that to the side. Manifestation, the effect. Before you have an effect, you must have a behavior. Before you have a behavior, you must have a pattern. Before you have a pattern, you must have a thought. Before you have a thought, it is the seed. It's a word. So you must look at it like this. How did the word incarnate inside you to become the thought? For it to become a thought, to cultivate into the pattern becomes the behavior, the result is the action. Because it's your spirit. So you got to ask yourself this: who put it there? Who put it there? Huh? We don't go deep. We don't go deep like that. But it's, you got to ask yourself. Think about all those times you just impromptu did something before you acted on it, and there was a influence there. So the question should be: did the influence serve you? And if it didn't, the outcome was not what you prescribed it to be. So once again, who put that influence there? I got to tell you, y'all, demons got to stay employed. You do understand that, right? An unemployed demon is in damnation, purgatory. You do understand it? Most demons don't want to do that. So they've already said, well, look here. If I got to go and wreck these human beings' lives to keep my butt out of that lake of fire, oh, I'm wrecking. I'm tearing up some families. Oh yeah, I'm going to influence some self-destruction. Oh yeah. Oh, that young lady right there that has low self-esteem. Yeah, I'm gonna ride her through her influence, and she doesn't know it, but she gonna have about 4 or 5 abortions. Yeah, but before she gets to having those abortions, I'm gonna bring those men that she's thinking about, because she doesn't know, subconsciously she spoke this into existence. Who am I talking to? You think that guy that brought that pain just decided to out of the blue, hey, how you doing? My name's Pain. No, 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 no. There was some spiritual influence going on. Come on now. But let's go back. See, people have this mindset. They think that, well, you know, Gerald, all this jumbo, you talk about spirit and you talking about demons and angels and soulmates and soul ties and soul contracts, and all I know is where I am. You have some people that have this mindset of, if I don't have possession of it, it's not real. They have that ideology. They believe that. So let me spin that. So you're saying if it's not physically tangible, it's not real. Well, what about your air? What keeps the living blood, the blood that runs through your aorta and ventricle system known as your heart, keeps it pumping? You do understand, any living creature on this planet has blood in it. Where do you think that blood came from? You too busy worrying about, them damn aliens is gonna come and the mothership is gonna land, and let me tell you something. You don't understand that is nothing but to distract you. And what we know as aliens are really nothing but demons. You do understand that, right? That's why they look with the eyes and the behavior. And yes, you've probably been around some people that they act not of themselves. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just look at your last disappointment. Just look at that one. The person that you met is not the person that ended up hurting you. How about exploiting you? How about holding you emotionally hostage? You may have known this through physical abuse, neglect, or worse, lack of accountability for themselves. Even if that means they got to sabotage themselves to hurt you. They don't care. Please tell me you haven't scratched your head on that. You think that's supposed to be going down? Come on now. I'm saying. Come on, Queens. You're too smart to believe that okie doke. Now, think about this. If you know your environment that you first of all, let me put this out here too. I say this in love. There are going to be a select few that are going to be tied to your spirit. You have to understand that. And these select people are going to be the illustration of your lessons and your blessings. That's why they're there. Now, if you take a step back, put some humility in your heart, you'll also see the patterns. First of all, the commonality is this. You both think the same. Some of y'all have actually had the audacity to say, you just another me in a different form. No, that's spirit. That's spirit. That's spiritual influence. Spiritual influence. But ask yourself this. If you and that person that you call your bae or your boo, call them by their name. That's why they have. You do understand every name that was given was already selected before you took your first breath. You do understand that, right? It was just placed on your parents. That's why they gave you your name. There's a reason. And if you ain't got nothing else to do, why don't you research your last name? I mean, research your name, because every name has a meaning. There's a reason for that. Got nothing to do? Use a good old Google, Bing, or whoever you use. Research your name. And then after you research your name, if you're kind of curious, look up the numeric symbolism of your name. You might have to sit down, get you some coffee, because I'm about to drop something on you. After you've decided to research your name, look at what the numeric meaning of your name is. This is numerology. You will start to see a pattern. And if you truly do the research, you'll start to see that those numbers also coincide in your life. Who am I talking to? You gonna say, there go them numbers again. Those are your spirit numbers, King. Those are your life numbers, your spirit numbers, and your abundance numbers. Who am I talking to? You've been flirting with esoteric. Do it with respect. But don't be afraid what you see. You may notice your phone number. You may see your social security number. You may even see the places you've lived. You'll see it. There's a reason for everything. Nothing just happens by chance. That's why my pendant, you see all eights, because that's my numbers. And everything connected to this point, looking back, they're there. So detailed sometimes, too. Take your birthday and add them up and then simplify them to the lowest number. That's your life number. Because what's going on divinely, y'all. All this is divinely is part of your life. But see, the average Joe don't think about that. Average Joe's focused on, can I keep those lights on? Can I make the money to pay that bill? How about, will I have the gas to get to where I need to go, even though it's going to be another disappointment? Because you're living in life. So if you're living in life, why don't you take charge of it? You think you're supposed to be with her and she puts her hands on you? First of all, let's talk about domestic violence, first of all. Yep, I'm going to go there because I don't talk about it. The first form of domestic violence is emotional abuse. So if you are in an environment of conflict, that means you can't even agree on a glass of water. Why are you there? I'm going to tell you why you're there. It's either A, you have control issues, or you have the opposite, low self-esteem. And you have made a concession to your life and said, well, you know what? I need to ensure that I have somebody in my life. That's why I also have conveyed this to you, my queens, because you know I love you. It is not your place. Hear me now. It is not your place to go seek out your mate. I know somebody's scratching their face up like, who are you to tell me who I can go see and what I want to do? Because if you be honest with yourself, you also have to take responsibility that you were part of your pain. And I'm going to tell you why. It goes back to spiritual hierarchy. Let me explain. If God created Adam in his image, he could have stopped, because Adam's first assignment was to name everything in the kingdom. But because God loved his greatest creation, man, he put Adam down to take his rib to create woman, Eve. So she is an extension of him. Beautiful in all creation, because the woman is the wildflowers to mankind. That's why you have the yin and the yang. That is why when you are in that relationship that is spiritual, it feels like heaven on earth. Who am I talking to? See, because there's that hierarchy there. And unfortunately, here's the funny part. Does it surprise you that you have so many women that are unfortunately broken? They're so broken. That have picked up the banner of feminist movement. And they have said, I don't need a man. I can do it on my own. First of all, that's the first lie that you told, because without man, you won't exist. This ain't shit. And the reason why I say that, because guess what? Without man, there is no life sustainment. So you do need man. Secondly, no matter how intelligent you are, genetically, your body is designed for certain capabilities. I know somebody saying, who are you? You being chauvinist? No, think about it. Why do you think the man is the patriarch and you are the matriarch? Let's go back. When that predator was coming, You wasn't running out there to fend it off. You sent him out. Hold on one second. Doing a video, I'll call you right back. You sent him out. Why? Because in his spirit, he's already been spiritually prepared for survival. So let's look at the opposite. Now we are in an environment where you have a lot of broken people, and they believe that life on autopilot is required, and they are stepping in spiritual potholes unnecessarily. They're bringing undue pain and undue rest in their lives. Why? They're going against divine order. But here's a kicker though. I haven't seen this, and if you can prove this to me, I'll learn something new. Most feminists and most people that are in that LGBT community don't believe in God. They don't. It doesn't matter what comes from their mouth. Just look at their actions. Because those who believe in God fear God. They fear him. Who am I talking to? That's why when you're in situations that are foreign to you, you may feel that inkling of this ain't right. You may feel fear. You may feel anxiety. Why? Because you're dealing with the spiritual realm. You're not covenanted. You're not protected. There's no veil over you. So in other words, your angels cannot protect you from the things that you can't see. How about that calamity? How about that car accident? How about that bill? Oh, I know I'm talking to somebody now. You think things just all of a sudden happens just because? But here we go. Let's throw that free will in there, because see, two greatest gifts God ever gave you. The number one was to unconditionally love yourself, because there'll never be another you, y'all. Never. That's why when you take it upon yourself, say, well, you know what, Gerald? I'm going to go ahead and go under the knife. I'm going to go play with my DNA. I'm going to alter my image. First of all, God didn't make a mistake when he created you. You do understand that, right? You do. Your parents were nothing but a conduit or the spiritual doorway to this world. Come on, Queens. Yeah, that was the door. Daddy was the key. The blessing was you. Who am I talking to? So, with that being said, does it surprise you that your life may have been hell? You may have had to, unfortunately, deal with the realities of life known as molestation, incest, rape. Let me tell you why that occurred. And most won't admit it. Most people that are out there in the media doing this, they won't keep it 100. Majority of them have been violated in some way or form. It may have not been physically, but I damn sure going to tell you it's emotional. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because in the heat of what we see as protests, first of all, that's orchestrate. Haven't you noticed cameras are always there to capture the propaganda, right? Now, let's take that same scenario. Before the first rock is thrown, before the first fist is pumped, what if somebody came and said, look, you want to go to school, but you don't have the means to go to school. I'm going to open the door that you can. You know how many people will fall back from that and take their opportunity? Let's go back. Same scenario. Somebody came and said, I know that you just want to work. You have good intentions, but you don't have an opportunity. What if I give you that? Some more people fall back. You may turn around, same situation. I know that you've had some injustice in your life. But what if I gave you peace of mind so that you didn't have to deal with that? You wouldn't have majority of those people. And haven't you noticed a majority of those people are young black males? You know why you see a lot of young black males out there in the street? Because they've given up on their dreams. That's why you also hear this. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Why? Because people tend to get in trouble when they ain't got nothing to do. And I'm gonna tell you why I say this. Some of y'all might not realize, but even though I voted for our president, I have taken stock on everything that he's done. And there's a lot of things that he has done right under our noses, and it's very sad because when he was elected, I had this bias already, and the bias was, okay, they're going to elect a minority only to make him the scapegoat of society. You see it in the movies. They've already been doing it. Every time you got a black president, a woman, a minority in that office, it's always last days, isn't it? And when you see the female playing commander-in-chief, she always folds, right? Because women, for the most part, act by way of emotion. Why? That's spiritual. It's spiritual, y'all. Because you are given the gift of nurturement. That's why they call you mother. You are peace. If not, God would not have created Eve. There's no safer place emotionally than in the arms of a woman that loves you. And if you're not aware of that, it's either for two reasons. Either one, you're not matured yet, and you should not rush your life to grow old because you're not prepared for what is outside your door. And a lot of people won't admit that because they base their perceptions off of what there's that guy in the back making the programs, signing off on the imagery for you to eat. Now, let's go back to the protesters. Here's the problem I got. I think there's a double standard on what's been going on. Unfortunately, yes, there is a lot of hatred out there. And there's a lot of injustice that have occurred. But I think there's been a bias there because you only see one dynamic of people being splashed over TV. You're going to tell me that there has not been other men being shot? We ain't got to worry about women because that happens too. We just had Korryn Gaines. Now, here's my point. Why is it we're quick to say that's foul, that's unfair, that's not right, but the cause and effect is, wait a minute. So we're going to give a pass to the behavior of this person? The outcome was that. Now let's get this correct. One drop of blood spilled unjustly is one drop too many. But I think it's a double standard when the responsibility should fall on that parent. That's a testament that you failed as a parent to protect your child. How about your child's development? You think that the penal system, there's not no brilliant minds in there? You think you hear it play out all the time? If I had a parent that just would give a damn about me, I wouldn't have not ended up here. But here's the problem I got. You got some people that think that regardless of the outcome, it's still not fair. But here's my problem with that. You had to sign off on that before it occurred. Why are we overlooking that? For example, if I lose my life because I stole a car, how much sympathy are you thinking I'm going to get when I made the choice to steal the car? Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? Why do we overlook that part? So there's your cause, there's your effect. Now, this is not justifying the shootings that appeared with Tamir Rice. That was a 12-year-old boy. They rolled up on that boy. Within 1.5 seconds, they shot him first for asking questions. They rolled right up on him. Trayvon Martin. And there are countless others that it didn't have to go down like that. And I believe with those situations, you should be judged accordingly for that. Because unfortunately, having a badge does not give you the right to be above the law. But we can't sit up here and say foul, this is foul, when actually what led up to it. Because we got a lot of people that want to play the martyrdom position, and I'm like, no. We can't ignore the cause and effect. Let's talk about the cat up in Dallas that shot up those people, right? He made a conscious decision to put himself out there. He made that choice. That's free will, y'all. Hello? Nobody just wakes up and say, you know what? I think I'm gonna just go and turn the streets blood. Yeah, I think I'll do that today. No. You got to have a trigger to make you to believe that thought process is okay. So when you peel that back, let's go back at what happened in your life that was so traumatic that you felt that you wanted retribution. But we ain't talking about that because that's too real and nobody wants to put that out there on the news. because guess what? That will have influence on the masses. And they know that. You have those people that enjoy watching another sad story. Because you know what? They're making money off of it. You don't hear nobody complaining about um, gun sales. Now, are we? And the biggest market of consumerism for firearms are women. They're making money hand over fist. You're not hearing nobody complain about ammo sales. For those who are my gun owners, how you like your prices on your ammo nowadays? You think that wasn't systematically done? Hey, let's get them afraid. And we bang that fear gong. And what happened? Your margin of profit went up over 300%. Come on, think about it. The puppet master is playing you. So then, yet you ain't heard this. Why hasn't it? All this is 2016 has been the most bloodiest year because there's a civil war going on in our streets every day. You don't believe me? How about the state of Illinois? How about Chicago? Really? Your child shouldn't have to wake up every morning trying to decide, am I going to make it to school today? Shouldn't be having those thoughts. Will I worry about getting hit with a stray bullet? And will I fear for my life because I need my education? Why are we not talking about stuff like that? Why? But yet you still don't hear people say this, and people may disagree, but you're entitled to this. Why is it, since all this death has occurred, you have not heard them say, well, you know what? How about this? How about we turn around and we say, well, look, we are going to have a gun drive. For whatever gun you bring to turn in, we're going to give you money for it. You realize how many guns would disappear off the street? You realize? People would be stealing guns to turn them in for some money. But see, you don't hear this. Because last time I checked, you don't have gun factories in a hood near you. But the streets are flooded. You know why? Because Bobby Brady is going to those gun fairs and he's buying his guns up to drive in a neighborhood near you, in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, and he ain't thinking about you because once he drives away, his hands ain't on it, but your money is in his pocket. Who am I talking to? So the killing is going to be continuing. Why are we not talking about that? You know why? Because what's at stake is your legacy. That's why there's no need for supremacy groups. And we've got supremacy groups that look just like you, in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you. You surely don't think that the Ku Klux Klan's the only people that operate on this agenda. You've got people wearing $5,000 suits, living the dream of America, that can't stand the fact that you're breathing. And they look just like you. You don't believe me? Go look into your search engine and put celebrities that invest in correctional facilities. You'll be surprised who invests in them, huh? There's no here, no there, though. So if you want to combat the problem, why don't we attack the mind? Because guess what? The little baby that didn't ask to be here, we're leaving this world to them. We can choose to make it a better place, or we can leave it looking like Beirut. And guess what? They will adapt the mindset of survival. They will. Or they will become consumed of that environment. Who am I talking to? You think you're supposed to wake up with that black eye you got. I feel your spirit. He came in like a thief in the night and worked you over real good and dared you to turn around and complain. And you were actually you convinced yourself, well, that's what relationships are, Gerald. Sometimes you just got to take it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You settle it. And here's the funny thing, because it took me I figured this out 3 years ago. I had this conversation with this young lady, and she told me to be in a viable relationship, it's got to have drama in it. Otherwise, it ain't real. And I looked at her like she stole something. I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Yeah, Gerald. If it don't have no drama, it ain't real." I said, "Let me tell you something. How much drama is feeling the embrace of your companion? How about the caress on the side of your face? How about the effects of jointly growing whatever your interest is? Because that's a relationship. You can't have a relationship unless you have two minds coming together. But how about two spirits forged as one? That's why relationships fail, because they are not yoked. Meanwhile, you're sitting there on a bump of the log and you're swollen. You got them aches and pains, and you thinking the remedy is another prescription pill. Let me tell you something. The remedy is you get this right. When you get this right, you get this right. But you can't get this right unless you tap into your spirit. So therefore, you got to have that conversation with yourself first. First of all, if you can't be honest with yourself, don't you realize that's why your environment is not being honest with you? Come on now. Somebody had the audacity to say, well, you know what? As a woman, you got to kiss a lot of frogs. No. Why are you going to the pond? Don't you realize the pond is a cesspool? Because guess what? The one that's divinely meant to be in your life is not there. He's being prepared. He already has your name on his heart. Because that's what God does. God searches your heart. That's what he does. And depending on where you are, it'll be your lesson or your blessing. Why? The protection is for the one. You thinking because he got some good wood, he gonna stick around? No, he's not. You're just fulfilling another fantasy or exploitation. And then once he has gotten his fill, he leaving you. He leaving you. That's why it doesn't benefit you to take the position to stand in his way and like you ain't going nowhere. Women, why y'all do that? You get in the way of a man trying to leave you. Why? Now, I'll tell you this. A real man will leave a situation to defuse it. If you're acting like a 5-year-old, it's his responsibility to excuse himself from the situation. Because guess what? You can't fix grown stuff if you're acting like a child. So if he's already said, okay, you're having a tantrum now, okay, when you're ready to have a conversation with me, we can proceed. This is not out of shade. This is not out of control. No, because he doesn't like seeing you in that light. And oh, what's this? You like to break stuff. Oh, you like to break stuff that you've worked hard to obtain. You break it. You see it splashed on the TV. First of all, that's why I shake my hand at the TV, because you know what? Imitation. People mimic what they see. And I'm going to tell you one of the culprits of that. When that show Cheaters came out, oh, yes, sir. They'll quickly say, well, the names have been protected to protect the innocent. They'll throw that out there, but they never take responsibility of the imagery that they put out. And here's the reason why I said 85% of the people that you saw on TV were minorities. And what did you see? You saw that female out there with that She had that nail polish, and she had Jody's clothes out there in the yard, and she's just, I'm gonna show you, burning up this man's clothes. Okay. Now, is that gonna remove the pain out of your heart because you burnt up some cloth? Or here you go. You take it upon yourself. So I'll show him, and you roll up with your girlfriends. Mind you, these are supposed to have your best interest. And you find this vehicle and you destroy it. Now you didn't inherited a jail record. Now you turned around and inherited a civil suit, because now, guess what? You're going to buy that person a new ride. Meanwhile, you got a record. So, nowadays the job market is, if you have any kind of record, you ain't working for them. Who am I talking to? And oh yes, let's talk about that social media. Oh yeah, they've got people in the job markets that their sole purpose is to find your business. Had somebody tell me, say, well, Gerald, how you gonna say that? Because I put all my stuff on private. Let me tell you something. The typical internet technician can go around your privacy. It ain't hard to do. It ain't hard to do. You don't believe me? Ask the Russians. What have they done? They expose everybody's stuff in the DNC. The privacy part is for your edification, to give you false validation that it works. Come on, man. If we've got satellites in the sky that can look at a license plate in detail, HD, you think somebody can look in your phone, look in your desktop, look in your laptop? You think that? Come on, how naive are you? I keep trying to tell you, y'all, next 5 years, they're going to have a profile of pretty much every person on this planet, from your spending habits to your life history. Why they have to do that? Because if something happens to you, or if you break the law, they can come get you. Is it coincidental? Nope. You know why they're doing that? Because the people that really pull the strings in society are protecting their interests. So if they got to keep an eye on what you're doing, so be it. They don't care about because you got your ass out, popping it for daddy. They want to make sure that you're not a nut job and going to mess up their money. Who am I talking to? And you're wondering why you didn't get that promotion, but you knew that job listing was for you. Come on, y'all. Think about it. Come on now. Who am I talking to? It's time to get the trash out of your life, y'all. You're not supposed to be sitting over here crying. I mean, we've gotten so shallow as a society. I see this play out all the time. Ain't nothing worse, y'all, than a broken woman. Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing worse than that. You see it written all over her. I keep telling y'all, you want to see a person's character? Look at their eyes. The story's written right here. She walking around, she looking tired. He walking around looking all disheveled. It's because they're going through something. And they're trying to spin that intellect so it makes sense. And you ain't got to ask, just look at their behavior. You know they deserve better, but they keep spinning that pride and that ego. And that's what's keeping you enslaved from you. That's not your story, King. Never was. But you turn around running with your homeboy, but you don't know that your homeboy is your betrayer. Who am I talking to? He ain't no man because you ain't no man, because you won't stand for your integrity. How many times you've been disappointed by him, and you know you need to have the conversation to ask why you do that, but you're afraid. Oh, but you big and bad behind closed doors in a conversation with yourself. Don't you realize there's no loyalty amongst the tormented? Because if a person can't tell you the truth, they might as well be digging in your wallet. You're basically giving the keys to your life to them. Here you go. So it doesn't surprise you he's sleeping with her, because you done told him everything about you. You done gave them the playbook. Come on, queens. That's supposed to be your home girl, but she's the one that's telling you that he ain't good for you. You know why she's saying she's not good for you? Because he's good for her. Who am I talking to? And she ain't got the integrity. As soon as you open your nostrils and like, wait a minute. Oh, she ain't got time of day now, but she's still gonna do it anyway. She's still gonna sleep with him. But see, that's a 2-for-1 blessing, because that's truth. And sometimes truth hurt, because that's letting you know that these people who had access to your life never deserve to hear you breathe. That's why misery loves company, y'all. So tell me, how much is your heart worth? Tell me how much your dreams are worth. So why are you accepting distraction? Why? Because you want to create him in the image of your mind. If you don't have it together, he's a product that he ain't got it together either, because any man is going to stand by his queen. But let me tell you this too, and I'm saying this out of love. If you are sexually active with somebody and they have yet to say, hey, you know what? Hey, let's go get a blood test. If they have not entertained that, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to pull your panties up, put your drawers back on, and get up out of there. Get up out of there. I'm going to tell you why. Because their behavior is basically telling you they don't value your life. But if a man comes to you and says, you know what? I want to build this world and I want you to be in it. This is what I require. First of all, respect his transparency, because he's giving you a template and a requirement so you understand what he needs. Now, you've got to be honest with yourself if you're willing to commit. First of all, you can't commit to nobody until you commit to yourself. So if you're walking around with emotional baggage, you're still reeling over that girl or that guy that you secretly never stop loving, but you're in a relationship with him, you're blocking your blessings. You're cheating yourself. Why? Because what's being ransomed is your healing process. And what's going to happen is those people are going to inflict more delayed pain in your life. You do understand that, right? You can't find peace of mind with a wedding ring, y'all. You can't. I'm going to tell you why you can't find peace with a wedding ring. Because, see, if it's not ordained by God, there's no covenant there. And if there's no covenant there, you have just wasted the ceremony. And really, that ceremony has now become a sacrifice to the devil. And will become your purgatory. I know somebody's going through that right now. It was all good until you put that ring on. And then he showed you that real you. When are you going to fight for you? When are you going to fight for you? Because I'm going to tell you what. You want that heaven on earth? that I talk about, have the courage to fall back in love with yourself. Maybe you may be in that place of awakening now and you realize I have to make a decision for me. And you have to be responsible and get out of that relationship. But make sure if that's what you have to do, you do it with respect. Because see, people, a lot of people got this mindset. They say, well, you know what, Gerald? I'm gonna do whatever I want. And little do they know they're setting themselves up for the biggest blow. Because see, a controlling person will give you everything to control you, except for love, respect, honor, commitment, trust. How about empowerment? If they don't have these things in themselves first, doesn't matter how good that wood is, Queen. Doesn't matter how much he makes you go bang bang in the night, or he may be an exhibitionist, like, hey, let's go over here and do it here, and da 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 da, and that is really floating your boat. But not one time has he talked about God at all. Why? Because there's a demon in him. And you know what happens? The stronger of the two spirits, the weaker will become. And that's why you see this. A person running from themselves eventually becomes consumed by what they run from. So, in other words, they take on the traits that should have been the lessons. Ask those feminists over there. The typical feminist hates men, hates them, can't but here's the funny thing about it. They act like men. They act like men. And I'm not trying to make light of it. Got so bold and brazen, they hijack the men's fashion. It doesn't matter how many times you wrap your breast, queen. You're a queen. But then you see this on the other side. You see a lot of guys that did not have a male influence in their lives. And I know there are going to be people who say, well, Gerald, I came from a fruitful family and I just decided that's what I desire. Don't you realize you got a bad flyer? You got a bad flyer. And what happened was it was accepted because people will gravitate to where there's a commonality. So if there was no nurturement, if there was no love, if there was no respect, and that environment gives you that false indication that it does, guess what? You're going to gravitate towards that. You understand that? That's no different than somebody. Okay. That's like a little boy gravitating to a bunch of basketball players, right? He don't know how to play a lick, right? But there's that thought. He's drawn to that, right? The likelihood he's going to end up emulating his environment. Who am I talking to? So meanwhile, while you think that you're smarter than the next person and you laying next to her, you do understand she's just preparing to break you down even more. That's why you fight so much. You know why you fight so much? Because you ain't supposed to be with them. Here's the funny thing about it. Swear up and down you'd never be another man in your life. But you got that special drawer though. What's in that special drawer? It ain't mittens. It's not mint. It's not gloves. It's not mittens. What's in that drawer? What's in the drawer? Imitation is flattery, but guess what? Nothing beats nothing beats the original. But guess what? Appreciation comes when that person places God first. That's right. Spiritual woman, kings, if she has a relationship with God, first of all, she don't need you. She don't. because she places God first in everything she do. But I'm gonna tell you what, that's what separates the diamonds from the cubic zirconias. Doesn't matter how big that cubic zirconia is. I could take a little teeny little diamond and drop it in a bowl of cubic zirconia and I'll find that diamond. Why? Because it's original. So why are you settling for cheap invitations? And I'm not putting shade out there. I'm trying to get you to understand that you are taking unnecessary time focusing on things that cannot grow. But can people change? Every day. Every day they change. And I'm telling the truth. Because every time that you go and find that little stolen moment, you get to a point that you hate it now. The fizzle is gone. No matter how much you try to do it and reinvent it and try it this way and move it that way and add props and swing off the chandeliers, it's killing you inside. It is. Know why? Because it's not pure love. Know why? Because God's not there. How can I give you a diploma if you haven't done the work? That's what graduating is about. But you got people all the time that do it. They go through life not taking accountability for their actions, and then when they get discovered, they say, cut the strings, on to the next one. But little do they know, all things done in the dark comes out. And most people, and this is a trait that a lot of women do, unfortunately, before a woman will decide to transition to another relationship, she's already set the deck way before the first step is taken. That's why you have so many emotional relationships occurring. So, but here's what I find really ironic. If you got to turn around and spend time going in his pockets and checking his phone and looking in his email, why are you with him? Why are you with him? But I'll do one better. Why is it don't you think that's hypocritical? Because you're doing the same thing. Problem is, he ain't doing it to you. That's why a lot of times when you hear about relationships becoming toxic and you always hear somebody going up somebody's side, that is divine intervention going on to separate those two spirits. Who am I talking to? You're not supposed to be laying next to that person if they got to put you in a stronghold just to get you to walk with them. Just like on the same thing, you're out and about. If he's treating you like a homie, it's because you ain't his queen. That's why there's no benefit in being the distraction. You know him as, unfortunately, I hate this word, the side chick, the kept woman, the concubine. Those three words have financial investment, but it's never what you're worth. Oh, you gonna let me do my thing? I'll just pay your bills? Okay. Till he gets bored. But guess what? Before he gets bored, he's already got 4 in the queue. You listen to Steve Harvey. He wrote y'all that book, Think Like a Man, but Act Like a Lady. You know who grabbed those books the most? The women that were doing the most dirt. You know what happened when those who mastered it? They didn't get they didn't get boyfriends. They got girlfriends now. Here's the funny thing though. He act more of a man than who you was with. But all this you were doing, you won't dare do because she'll go upside your head. And even if the law gets called, they're gonna look at it as 2 women fighting. That's why I laugh when I hear about, well, I want rights. I want to get married, but it's all cool because people always want what they don't have. But here's what you don't hear: The divorce rate is 75% in same-sex marriages. Why? Why? And it's really going to get real for those people in the military, because guess what? They're going to go after your pension too. Oh, who did I talk to? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she looked good. She makes that nice arm candy. Got no life skills. But she'll drop it like it's hot. But she can't make you a sandwich. How can you build your legacy off of that? God forbid if you get sick. Nope, she don't look like mama. She don't act like grandma. And yes, it is true, queens. Most men want a reflection of their mom. They do, to a certain degree. And that's why I say this, and I've ran my mouth too long. And I will say this, queen. You need to reel this back in, especially for my single moms that have sons. Unless you plan on raising another girl, I highly suggest that you put him in a environment that has testosterone in it. How about that mentor that has his head on straight? Because usually guys that have their head on straight, they have it on straight because they've got God in front of them. So there's the coinciding factor. Once again, you think your life is going to play out with God in it. He's already showed you it does not work. Meanwhile, you're acting like you're smarter than the average bear, hiding your wounds instead of trying to heal them. This is not to bash. This is because I love you. I'm one of the good ones, queen. So I don't have no agenda. I want the best you to come out. Kings, before I shut my mouth, you need to check yourself. Your life is not based off of the way she sways her hips. Did you hear me? That's why the ratio to male female nowadays is about 13-1. And it's a little higher in the inner cities. Why? Because there's a drought that's been going on for the last 35 years called men. And that's because some men have fallen to their own deception and they're incarcerated. They've chosen to embrace men. And that's left women alone to fend for themselves. Now, I know somebody going to say, well, Joe, this has been going on since slavery. That's true, too. But you know also what's been going on? No accountability, social services. What about that? That's evident right there that they don't want you, society doesn't want you to raise your offspring, because if you are in social services back pocket, guess what? They tell you you can't have a man in your life. And in the 50s, and no, was it 60s when they started it? It was so brazen and bold, they would send an agent to come into your public housing to see if there was means of improvement. And if it was, they cut them off. So that's why you have a lot of women out here acting ratchet. But let's get this right. You do know the word ratchet was really a pronunciation of the word wretched. That means ain't nothing blessed come from that but pain. Come on now. You laying over there with him. He over there. He spend more. He got a love affair with his game controller than he do you. Why are you there? You should be feeling like your environment is Beirut. You've got Lebanon going on in your bedroom. You've embraced the same mindset that was taught to you by your influence. Oh, because you saw your mama doing that, do you think that's life? No, it's not. That's settling. And what's going on? We are preparing a Amazonian society now. That's where feminists are. They're like Amazons. And what happened to the Amazons? They got conquered. You can only stick your chest out for so long before somebody's going to come along and come on, let's go. I'm going to get you right. It's not done in love. You don't need it anyway. You don't need it. You don't need to be out there exploiting yourself. If your closet looks like something for an exotic dancer, does it surprise you you're not getting the respect that you justly deserve? Come on now. It also shows you the caliber of men you attract too. And what do Johns do? They spend money, they make deposits, and they keep it moving. Detached, very aesthetically done. Don't do that. So does it surprise you that you've got that penicillin up in the closet? How about that last STD scare? What about that? Or unfortunate. And I don't understand nobody gang. Why is it the minority community has the most highest level of fibroid and ovarian cysts? So what's at stake? Your ability to reproduce. So they're attacking you from the inside out. So if I've already got your mind, I can have your bank. If I've got your mind, I can have your body. Ask the pimps out there in the corner. Ask them. She didn't just elect to say, you know what, I just want to spend the rest of my days and sucking and no. That's not her story. But her wake up will come before it's too late, or unfortunately, she will fall to the wayside like so many unfortunately have. That is not your story. And let me tell you something too before I go. Listen here, Queen. Hello, talking to you. I don't care if you have slept with a football stadium. Don't care. Don't care. The man that is going to come into your life and show you the other side of your life is a spiritual man. So when you get tired of running from yourself, when you get tired of playing jump rope with them fools, come on home back to yourself. When you do, what'll happen is your smile will return. That joy will come back into your heart. And you will see the world differently. You know why? Because see, God will be there. And guess what? Your blessings are in the storeroom with your name on it. But he's not going to give you nothing you ain't ready for. But guess what? I know some of y'all got the bad flyer too. And you think that because you made it through that last disappointment, yeah, that one, that makes you strong. How strong can you be if you're not using that? Your life is not supposed to be a game of chess. How about hopscotch? Nope. Would you eat a meal that's not prepared? So why would you take a life that ain't yours? Just saying. Just saying. I love each and every one of y'all. You're going to be all right. You don't even realize these next 6 months are going to show you some things too. Just remember that you heard me tell you. And you'll have to make a decision which direction to go. But before you make that decision, at a minimum, ask yourself this: does it give the best example of me, or is God in it? Ask those two questions to yourself. And what will happen is your discernment is going to validate it. You may see your validation on your answer indirectly through something else. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Oh, somebody asked me, I thought that was funny. Said, Joe, every time I turn around, you keep changing. What's going on with you? Gerald's happy because Gerald's grounded. Now, understand this. The man that you see now is not the man that you see in the very first video. And I will highly recommend that each and every one of y'all go to my very first video, because that guy was broken. That guy died a long time ago. But that guy also planted the seeds to who I would become. And that video is, when's the last time you told yourself you love you? Just know, for every storm, there's a rainbow. All you got to do is look, and you'll see it in your heart. Be blessed.